I'm often asked, how does a homosexual meet up with another homosexual? Well, I'll tell you about Froggy. Yes, Froggy. I know it's a daft name, but a lot of my friends have false names, like Dolly. Dolly wasn't christened Dolly when he was born, was he? They've got false names because they lead double lives. They move in circles of anonymity. I met Froggy at Hena Fair in 1965. And October it was, and it was more than usually cold then. I was bundled up in a thick black bomber jacket under a black woolly hat, and I gravitated to my favourite ride, the waltzer. My garb was in partly disguised, to disguise me from being recognised, and part trying to keep warm on a chilly evening. Now I must explain that Hena Marketplace, where the fair was only a stone's throw from a school where I went as a Church of England school, where I was nearly destroyed there. Also, it was up the hill from Howitt Secondary Modern School, where I actually was very happy. And but it was only a stone's throw from Mundy Street Boys' School, it's called. It nearly destroyed me in 1957. Mundy Street was a culture of cruelty. Howitt was a culture of kindness. And then my Howitt mates knew me as Dobber. I'd enjoyed the October Fair of 1959 with my Howitt mates, cheek by jowl, crammed in one of those waltzer cars, spinning furiously with the assistance of rough fairground lads. These sexy gaff boys in their tempting tight blue jeans were an important part of the erotic atmosphere. With poise, they rode the waltzer up and down, round and round, perfectly balanced, perfectly poised, as I strained to catch a glimpse of beautifully formed buttocks. Butch bums were irresistible. But I didn't mention that to my Howitt mates. So no, I kept my mouth shut, you know. They were on the lines of, whoa, Dobber, look at them tits, ooh, get your hands on that, hey. The strains of Helen Shapiro lamenting I Don't Care conjured up a dangerous cocktail of menace and magic. Dangerous because brawny bottoms can quickly become violent if deviant desire is detected. You've got to watch yourself. I've long since learned to avoid eye contact with the alluring features of a yob. He needed little excuse to punch a puff for the amusement of his fellow thugs. Anyway, watching the waltzer and that untouchable gaff boy, I recalled the frustrations of years before when those boys aroused lewd longings. Trying to sneak a crafty peek at a tantalising ruffian, I noticed a different type of lad in the crush on the other side of the waltzer gantry. It was a small face, pretty face, under a bobble hat with a few escaping curls. In the moment when eyes met eyes, I felt empathy and sympathy for this little chap with his button nose and cheeky grin. I muscled through the crowd. I've got to get to this looks interesting. I muscled through the crowd along the gantry to where Bobble Hat was last seen. Nostrils were assailed by the odour of crushed bodies, blended with hamburger, hot dog, diesel and candy floss. Raucous yelps and screams blended with generators and blaring pop records, all contributing to the unique magic of the fairground. Bobble Hat had gone. I couldn't see him. Not there, I felt a sudden panic. Where was that little peeping pale face? Anyway, I wandered over to the ghoul-infested frontage of the haunted house. You've all seen that, haven't you? The artwork of skeletons and skulls and gravestones and various bloody impressions of the living dead. All that. Anyway, somebody jostled me. It was a jostle. It was a small, smiling Bobble Hat, very close, straining upwards close to my face, making a funny noise. An immediate judgment was formed. This diminutive boy was odd, very odd. I assessed him as childlike rather than childish, In gentle tones I said, "Hello, I'm Dobber. What's your name?" "Froggy." "Froggy? Froggy! That's an unusual name." Anyway, in that first glance across the waltzer, I'd established a certain understanding, a feeling that here was a kindred spirit, on the same wavelength. Not simple, no, not feeble-minded, but a character who had cleverly adapted himself to deal with a cruel, homophobic world. Under bright lights, I had an opportunity to assess my intriguing companion. He was clean and well-dressed. This spoke of parents who took their duties seriously. Froggy was well-fed and well-shod in a culture where such adequate standards were not always reached. In the 1960s, Hina was still pretty primitive. Feeling the need for a quiet chat, a stroll to the park was suggested behind the marketplace. If you know Hina at all, behind the marketplace is a nice park where silence and darkness would be more conducive to a heart-to-heart chat. At the park gates, Froggy plunged into an unending chirpy chatter on a variety of subjects. 19 to the dozen, he rattled on about fair eyes, slot machines, the weather, lots of weather, and now his latest boyfriend. Looky, look what I got." From somewhere on his person, Froggy produced a newspaper cutting. Many times folded, it was a framed photograph of a young man, an impressive fellow with dreamboat features. I looked long and hard at this greased, groomed image of a fantasy boyfriend. Now in the park, just visible from the street lamp, Froggy suddenly, to my horror and to my big surprise, he suddenly burst into song and dance. "Ooh, like a tiger, ooh, 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 like a tiger. Wow, I want to growl." Does that bring back any memories, maybe? With oodles of enthusiasm, he launched himself into several orbits around me, hopping, hoofing, skipping with twirls and whirls in an ecstasy of homage to his teenage idol. The hunk causing Froggy to do cartwheels around me was in fact a one-hit wonder. Truth to tell, by 1965 this particular singer was passé. His short reign was more early 60s, but oh God, beautiful boy, dazzling. I kid you not, he drove me crazy. He had a good singing voice plus a mesmerising speaking voice, which so sexy, smooth and tremulous, it was almost like he was always on the edge of orgasm. Talk like that. And he was 17 and oozed eroticism. Oh, to be young again. What's a Fabian? That's how he was packaged, promoted. Later it was Fabian is coming, and then Fabian is here. Then the record came out. Everybody was singing, "Like a tiger, ooh, ooh, ooh," etc., etc. I remember it being played endlessly in the jukebox in the Hina Mill Park. For a while, the world went Fabian mad. Anyway, we ambled further into the park and deeper darkness. The mood was different. We found a bench. Froggy became serious, losing some of his childlike chatter. I saw a different side of this little chap. Like many others, he had an alternative personality, one serious and one to be seen by the world. I should know, for decades I hid behind the stern mask of a strict schoolmaster. The boy I've described was real enough. He had depth. On that bench he revealed a heart-rending history, disclosing a staggering catalogue of cruelty. Emotional damage was sustained by a single occurrence in his early school days. He was seen kissing another boy. And that's it, a simple kiss. This incident triggered months of appalling bullying, which extended beyond the school gates. into his home with gay-hating abuse and bricks through windows. The family were forced to move to Hena, where nobody knew them. With much in common, Froggy and I became lifelong friends and were still friends today. As an adult, he was unable to work because deep trauma had adversely affected this victim's mental and physical health. A life blighted by ignorance, bigotry, and homophobia. But Froggy's a fighter, a survivor, and a loyal follower of my campaigning. He's read all the books, and it's a privilege to have known him. And I dedicate this little story to Froggy.
Hey, lump of sugar, you look kinda sweet, cuter than a baby walking down the street. When I look into your eyes, I wanna leave. I can't conceal that you make me